Good day coders, I'll be walking you through how we can manually set up our Expo Routers app. If you're new to the channel, please don't forget to like, share and subscribe. So for actually the purpose of this video, I've actually created like the app, but this is the first command that you will run on like your actual directory. So this is npx create expo app, and then once you fire this command, it will ask you to actually enter the name of your app. Right, in this instance we're creating an app for thumb talk, so that's going to be the name of this app. And then the next thing that you would want to do is actually cd into the project, because once you've actually set up like the name of the app, it will actually create the folder as the name of your app, right? And if you was to go here, it will actually set up this name here in your package JSON file, right? So then the next thing you'd want to do is actually install your dependencies, right? So you can take this moment to actually pause and actually get this, right? So this is npx expo install. We'll be installing the expo router, React Native Safe Area Context, React Native Screens, Expo Links, Expo Context, and Expo Status Bar. Right, so those are the dependencies that you'd want to like install. And then the next thing that you'd want to set up, because we're setting up an Expo Routers app, right? So ideally when you start off like the app, it will set its main, right, to run as you run like your Expo app. It will come here and actually try to find where the entry point of the app is. So currently it's going to be this app entries.json, which is just going to run this app JSON's file, right? So we actually want to change that up, right, and set this up to like an Expo router, because we'll be using Expo router. So we'll change this to Expo router entry, right? But when you set up like your Expo routers entry, like there's a specific folder structure that you actually wanna follow, right? So we'll first just delete this apps JSON folder, right? And in our root over here, so in here we would want to create a folder called apps, and within like our folder apps we'd want to create like a underscore layout .js file, right? And then we're just gonna set up like an index, right? So this will just run our index.json file, right? So then the next thing you would want to do is actually modify your project settings, right? So if you want to make your project to work with like the web, right? If you want to develop your project so you can also run it on the web, the next thing that you would want to install is, let me just to remove this, is this package over here. So you'll also take a moment and pause. So you'll be installing from Expo install React Native Web and React DOM, right? So those are the two things that you will need. And then for it to actually work, you need to configure like your app JSON file, right? So where you'll do this is actually come to the web part and actually set your bundler to Metro. So just under here, you'd want to set your bundler setup to Metro. So that's what you also need over there. And then you'd also want to check or modify your babel .config JSON file, right? So you'd want to check that here under like this presents, you want to check that it's set up to babel present expo, right? So you just need to ensure that that thing has been set up. So then you'd want to then start off your project. So how you start up like your project, you want to run or clear the bundler's cache, right? So you'll use this command over here, which is expo start -c, right, which will clear your bundler's cache. So yeah, that's basically what you need to actually like get your app up and running. But we'll take like a bit of a moment to actually try to develop like something, right, just to see if we've got like something working. So we'll just be creating like a simple app where you can actually increment the counter and decrement the counter, right? So yeah, let's go ahead and actually do that, right? So whilst that's still trying to run, we can just go ahead and actually create like our actual index file. So here we'll just set this to an arrow function, which would be const index, and then then we'll just export default, right, our index, right. Then here we'll just import react from react. So that's what you will need. Then we'll just return over here. So what we'll return is actually like a view, right? You want to wrap everything into like a view. And then the next thing that we would want to do is actually have like a text file, right? So this will be running from this text file over here. And then we'll just have two buttons, right? So we'll have like a button, right? So then the first button will be click to increment. So the title of that button will be click to increment, right? And then we're just gonna have like a second button underneath that, which will be click to decrement, right? Click to decrement. So it's click to increment and click to decrement, right? So those are the two buttons that we're gonna have in our screen. Then over here we'll just try to set up like our actual counter, right? Our actual counter and set counter, right? So this is going to be set up to our use state. So this is going to set up to our use state, but we need to ensure that we actually import these stuff, right? So we'll import our use state there from React. We'll also import these, right? So we want to import like our actual view, which is going to come from our actual React native, right? We'll also like come over here, try to import our text file and our actual button, right? So you'll just say text and button. So those are the things we'll actually need. I don't know, this is actually taking some time to actually run the project. Let me just try. Okay, yeah, I think this is all starting up. So what you can do, like with Expo, you can actually scan this QR code and that will open up on your Expo. Or if I'm running it on this emulator, I'll just click A and this will open it up on an Android phone. But I can actually scan this events on my iOS device and that should be fine, right? So currently what we're gonna have over here is we'll just have our actual counter, right, and we'll just initialize this to 0. So what we're actually expecting from this screen is to have like a screen with our actual test set up to counter and our two buttons that basically don't do anything, right? So let's actually take a moment and yeah. Alrighty, coders, now that you can see that like our app is actually started off, so let's just try to do some bit of some styling on the text just to make it a bit bigger, right? So just say this is set up to the styles, right? Then you just say our font size, this will be set up to just 30 pixels, right? Just want to have like a width of 100%. Then so what we'll do is actually just say text align, or just set that to center. And if we actually save that, let's actually see what happens, right? So now you'll see that we actually like have like our text actually centered out. So just increase that to 40 pixels and set up like a margin top top. This will set up to 20 pixels. All right, then we'll actually save that out, right? So Yeah, so once we've actually set up like that margin top over there, we'll try like clicking like the actual buttons, and then you'll see nothing actually happens, right? Because we need to set up like some sort of like on press events. So we'll say on press event on that, right? And this will be like an arrow function, right? um so this will be an arrow function, then it's we handle increment, right? So we'll call that function over there. We'll have another on press, which will have an arrow function, and that will handle decrement, right? So basically these are the two methods that we're gonna have over here, right? And then handle decrement is another one. Okay, don't mind these errors, I'll actually fix that just now, right? So these are the methods we're gonna have. So we'll just have a const there, so that's gonna be a const, and they're both just arrow functions. Righty, arrow function. So on our actual like increment, so just save that out. So on our actual increment, what we'll do is actually set our counter, right? Then we'll just say I there, so that actually happens. So we'll just say I plus 1. That's for our actual like increment. And then for actual decrement, okay, there was an issue that was here, so that's why I'm still getting that error. So and then for our actual decrement, it's just gonna be set counter and then I, right, which is gonna be like the actual current one minus 1. So yeah, that's basically what we need. Now we can go ahead and actually test this out if it actually works, right? So you'll see when we click on increment, that should increment, and actually when we actually click on decrement, and that should decrement. So basically in this video, we've actually set up like our actual like project using Expo, and actually created like a mini mobile app. So if you like this video and you're new to the channel, please don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Now peace.